Haha, welcome to the plantation. I'm your host, Master Lou. So, I've taken a break. I've been busy. Academics, as you know, always, I'm a student of the consciousness movement. Yes, I am approaching my postgraduate 2027, so I need to prepare for that. And then I've got a few other important things that I needed to take care of. But nonetheless, I am back. I will post more frequent videos on a regular, and that will be informative topics, things that spark the mind and also spark my curiosity and interest. One of them are the de-escalating tensions between DIRCO's ministry, Department of International Relations and Cooperation, as well as the Nigerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So let's understand what is happening between these two countries. Either one of them have lost their motherfucking minds, which I hope not. I hope not. I just want Nigerians to respect South Africans, and in turn, Nigeria takes accountability for their shit-seeking citizens. So let's have a look. This came to my attention not too long ago. So, our minister, Ronald Lamola, which is the minister for DIRCO, Department of International Relations and Cooperation, they then engaged the Nigerian envoy about de-escalating the tensions around the migrant crisis. Now, part of this involves a three flashpoints that were raised by the minister. So, flashpoint one. I don't know as a South African if you want to be angry at this, you want to be pissed off, I don't know. But from what I saw and what I've assessed, this is my analysis and understanding. So, flashpoint one. In March 2025, there was an installation of a king in the Eastern Cape, and this was a Igbo king. Now, remember, you are disrespecting the traditional style and leadership, and you're also disrespecting the traditional sovereignty of our kingships in South Africa that we are trying to be constitutionally recognized. So, who gives you, as an Igbo king from Nigeria, registering and establishing yourself as a king in the Eastern Cape? That's a disrespect to the members of the Amaxhosa community, as well as the Amaxhosa kings. That's disrespect. It's not like Amaxhosa kings are setting a kingship in Lagos, and then in turn we disrespect the traditional leadership of the Igbo people in their own backyard. So that's flashpoint one. Flashpoint two, foreign nationals. So let's have a look. On that part, foreign nationals' role in organized crime, drug trafficking, and also financial fraud. Not too long ago, the United States arrested a Ghanaian businessman for romance fraud. Not too long ago. Now we can understand. It's not our prejudice towards foreign nationals. These are facts. More than 500 Nigerians since July the 7th, 2026 have passed through our criminal justice system. They were involved in drug trafficking, human trafficking, organized crime, and financial fraud, just to name a few of the areas that they are participating in. Now, this particular instance shows if it's 500 Nigerians that have passed through our criminal justice system, surely that means oversight, tighter immigration control is needed, and also law and order needs to prevail. Because if you're committing a crime in a foreign country, you need to take accountability. Law and order needs to be held to the highest standard, and you have to go to jail one way or the other. Either go to jail in a country where the crime is committed and then get deported back to your own country so that your own country takes legal action against you and jails you for the crimes that you committed in a sovereign state of another land. But no, that is not the case with Nigeria's Foreign State Ministry. Flashpoint number 3. Law enforcement. The resistance of law enforcement, as well as the emergence of what the so-called Nigerian Foreign State Ministry, they say the following. But this is the flashpoint. DIRCO states this clearly. Hijack buildings in Hillbrow. Hijack buildings in Pretoria, Sunnyside, which of course undermines other foreigners as well as foreign residents alike. Now, these are the three flashpoints raised by our minister from DIRCO. What is the response from Nigeria's foreign ministry? This is their response. Now we can understand, based upon those three flashpoints, yes, negative perceptions has been created. I do apologize about the sneeze. Oh, my sadness, I apologize. But nonetheless, I understand that these perceptions do create a very negative image of Nigerians living in South Africa. I get that. Based upon those three flashpoints that I just mentioned that were raised by our former DIRCO minister, or our current DIRCO minister, to say the least, that has fueled a negative perception of Nigerians in South Africa. And as we know, as a South African and as a member of a community, when it comes to Nigerians, there's a lot of negativity. There's nothing positive coming from Nigerians. I'm just going to be honest. I do not know of a business that is legitimately registered in South Africa, owned by Nigerians, with legitimate papers. Let's just be real here. Let's not pussyfoot around the situation. Let's be real here. There is nothing positive and valuable coming from Nigerians other than fucking up wherever they go. I'm telling it exactly like it is. Nigerians should stop disrespecting South Africans, and Nigerians want to be South Africans. That is what I also noted here. The head of foreign affairs, or the head of foreign ministry, well, this gentleman, I'll tell you now who he is. Sola, I can't pronounce his name. I will post his name in the conversation. You will see it in the graphics. So he's the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs in the Republic of Nigeria. His articulation is about legal migrants being attacked through mob justice, and also the South African police force rendered completely incapable from assisting, and he's rendered them helpless. They are just basically watching the situation unfold before their eyes. The ill treatment of legal Nigerians with legal papers in South Africa are now being threatened through mob justice. So this also ties into the human rights violations that they like to throw out loosely and willingly on all their so-called hype YouTube platforms, when they spread all this disinformation towards South Africa. But in fact, they hate us so much that the people are here illegally. So if you hate South Africa that much, why are you leaving a West African country? You skip East Africa, you skip North Africa, you skip all the other West African countries, and you skip all the other Southern African countries as well in the SADC region, but you come straight to South Africa. And then that very same country that you doing a disservice for, and that you are disenfranchising them on YouTube, on social media, about the incapable African state. Yet, in fact, your people are running to this country illegally. So let that make sense. Where's the rational thinking in that? Where is the rational thinking in that? So back to this situation of the Foreign Ministry of the Republic of Nigeria. That was their articulation, or should I say, that is the minister's articulation. He says that they had evidence from inhumane treatment from Africans towards Nigerians that are legally in South Africa. Now, this makes me wonder. The same disrespect that our president took, President Cyril Buffalo Ramaphosa at the White House, the disrespect about the white genocide, in his face, took the same disrespect from Nigerian envoy, Minister Ronald Lamola. I understand that, yes, those three flashpoints, they are critical. Not only are they a threat to the sovereign state of South Africa, they are also a threat to our national security. And second to that, they are also a threat to our democratic stability and governance. If you've got an influx of foreign nationals coming illegally into your country, one or two things are going to happen. They're either going to disrupt the governance that is currently overseeing the functioning of the country, and second to that, they're also going to disrupt the economy. So whatever businesses or industries that they can illegitimately acquire, they will try to make inroads and access that willy-nilly. Now, the same can be said about Nigerians. The flashpoints were mentioned. Nigerian ministry is not taking accountability for its citizens, for their unruling behavior and unlawful behavior and their unlawful acts in other sovereign states that they enter. This also takes me to the production of the report from the Department of Congress, a list of countries that were banned upon full entry and partial entry upon entering their sovereign state. Now, this list contains a list of countries that are facing these types of situations, that are either fully banned from entering or partially banned based upon specific conditions. For example, immigration, asylum, etc., etc., etc. Now, this is all part of the US Department of Congress. Its stance on immigration, illegal immigration specifically. Now, on that list, South Africa is not on the partial, and South Africa is not on the full suspension either. Now it makes sense as to why Nigerians hate South Africans and why they so badly want to be South Africans. What I cannot understand, they're the most populous country on the African continent, and yet their government failed to resolve their own socioeconomic problems. Yet their people run all the way from West Africa, all the way down to South Africa, and then in that same country that you doing a disenfranchise about and doing a disservice for because you like to speak ill about them, as the very same country that has your illegal undocumented migrants chilling there, doing all types of things. Now, on one end, I can understand the disrespect from Donald Trump towards our buffalo, and on the other hand, I can also understand the disrespect from Nigeria's foreign ministry towards DIRCO or Ronald Lamola and his envoy. What I will not accept as a South African, I will not accept disrespect from both ends. Whether you're a Neanderthal in the White House or whether you're a disingenuous brother in Nigeria. One thing we must understand here, we don't have allies. South Africans, we've got no allies here. We've got no friends because these so-called Nigerians that are calling themselves our brothers are the same people that are talking shit about South Africa, are the same people that are raping your daughters, are the same people filling your community with drugs, are the same people recognizing an illegitimate king in the Eastern Cape from the Igbo tribe. They are the same people that invades communities and traffics your children. They are the same people that want to tell you about Ubuntu. But in fact, what they do is not even brotherly like. And therefore I say this without fear and without favor. Nigerians are not our brothers. They never were and never will be. We are Africans. We might be the same skin color, but that doesn't mean you're my brother. I don't go into your backyard, invading your backyard. Then, in that very same backyard, I expect you to treat me like I am a brother because we're black and we're African. No. We may be African, but we are not brothers. Because in order for you to show me your brotherly love, show me first before I show you our brotherly love. If that cannot be reciprocated, then in all fairness, you are not a brother to me. You're just another African. You have your laws of your country, you have your people you need to account to, and you have your country that you need to go to. This thing of pussyfooting around things, the Nigerian State Foreign Ministry, they could have been a little bit more focused about it. They could have been a little bit more direct about it, but instead, they were just being counterproductive. They were pussyfooting around the matters that were raised by DIRCO's ministry. No accountability, no clapback, no implementation, no policy reform, no list of agenda and objectives that they would like to achieve as the Republic of Nigeria regarding the illegal migration from their people. Nothing like that whatsoever. This takes me back to the conversation that Donald Trump stated, that maybe there are countries in South Africa that is shithole. Now instead, if you're not going to want to take accountability, then by all means, Nigeria, you will remain a shithole. I'm saying this without all due respect and with all fairness, and as a Pan-Africanist. If you don't change your ways and you don't respect other people and you don't respect other sovereign nations where your people are going to, then you're going to remain and stay a shithole, just like Donald Trump said. This takes me to the other matter as well. Not too long ago, we found out that Oprah Winfrey is basically the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls will conclude its role as a center of the program. The property is going to be handed back over to the Gauteng Department of Education in accordance with the original partnership agreement. Paniazala Sufi, I do hope that you Department of Education is going to do a stellar job once the school is handed back over to them. At the end of the 2027 academic year, that will be it. Remember, the project is not coming to an end from the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy as well as the Oprah Winfrey Foundation. That's not going to change. The only difference is that now there's going to be a bigger pool of inclusivity, and they're going to do it through a national scholarship program. So that means more girls from different areas, probably that are eligible around the country, will then be able to apply through a scholarship initiative. By all means, kudos to Oprah for doing a stellar job for the past 20 years. $400 million, that's approximately roughly about 6 billion rand that has been invested, not only from a foundation, also up to 100 million out of our own donations as well. Kudos. The only thing I find a little bit peculiar here is that this same black billionaire built a school in South Africa for girls, but didn't build a damn school in the United States. So who are we fooling here? Are we fooling the Africans, or are we fooling the blacks of America? We need to understand what is actually at play here. I'm not saying that Oprah Winfrey is a member of the Epstein files. She has not been mentioned in the Epstein files, though I do believe that there is some form of association closely related to the Epstein files. Not only has Seal spoken out about Oprah Winfrey and the Harvey Weinstein saga, the sexual conduct from this gentleman, Harvey Weinstein, which has officially been tried and been in jail ever since. All his sexual misconduct on sets, on movies that were produced. Yes, the allegations were true. And Oprah Winfrey, under her watch, she was well aware of what was going on, and she kept quiet. So Seal spoke out about this back in 2018. You can follow up on that as well. Just to mention that all of a sudden that the school is coming to its exclusive end. These are just some of the things that make me wonder why she didn't build a school in America first before she built one in South Africa. But kudos to her. She did a stellar job. I appreciate her contribution. And then on another matter, the Western Cape High Court. Not too long ago, there was a victory declared in the Western Cape High Court on behalf of undocumented parents. So to my understanding, this is, I need to do more research about this. If you are undocumented foreign national, you're now conceiving a child in South Africa. You and the lady that is giving birth to this baby are both undocumented. Firstly, the rationality behind this. You're undocumented. Why are you conceiving babies in a foreign country and you have no papers to back it up? Why would you impregnate another woman in another country? Have the lady give birth and you don't have immigration papers to back this up. That for me is just completely irrational. Where is the logical thinking in that? I cannot understand that. Now, in fact, that these very same foreign nationals are taking our courts to fight matters that's supposed to be within our jurisdiction, claiming their rights and privilege to be in South Africa. Now, in all fairness, I do understand that when a child is registered at birth, according to the law, I don't know if this is in the Child Act but I'm assuming this has to be within our constitution. I need to just do thorough research on this. So, when a child is born in South Africa, as per the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, as well as within the South African Constitution, that child needs to be registered. Now, how do you register a child that is birthed from undocumented parents? Secondly, shouldn't the undocumented parents not be bothered about making babies and registering a child here? Because they say, this is the Western Cape High Court's ruling, they state that even though a child is registered to undocumented parents, that means the citizenship will not be granted automatically. But that paves the way for citizenship, because now you've got a child that is registered at birth here in the country, in a sovereign nation state. Then second to that, you've got undocumented parents. Now what's going to happen here? The child becomes legally 18, has an African ID, accesses all our services, and then miraculously contacts the undocumented parents and then facilitates a legitimized process of keeping them here. Because guess what? I'm now a South African citizen, or I am being naturalized, or I'm a permanent resident now here. Automatically, they can give the same status to my parents that have been undocumented for the longest time. That for me is just wrong. That is flawed. Shouldn't the child be deported along with the parents when they're undocumented? Because nowhere does it state that an undocumented child that has no birth registration in the country that it is born in to undocumented parents, that we should take full custody of their child. No. Child should be deported. I do know not too long ago in the white paper, this was one of the major points of discussion, that when a child is born to undocumented parents, the child should be deported along with the parents. Because why would you want to register a child in a sovereign country that you have no papers to back it up with? And then in turn, you want to create a loophole and you want to create an avenue that will classify and make yourselves legitimized. Now, in this instance, the courts ruled in favor of the undocumented parents, which I cannot understand. Now, the cost of the court and legal proceedings have to be covered by the Department of Home Affairs as well as the Director General. What I could not understand, this is the very same court, the Western Cape High Court, that gave the President, Buffalo Ramaphosa, an urgent interdict that was granted to prevent the impeachment process from continuing. Second to that, this is the same Western Cape High Court that refused to sign the NHI Bill, which is now part of the National Health Insurance Act that was signed into law. The very same Western Cape High Court and the Western Cape Province was, in fact, of all 9 provinces, the only one that did not sign this. And now, thirdly, we see this very same Western Cape High Court granting the rights of a child to be registered, even though both parents are undocumented. This takes me also to the Chidema situation. You are Nigerian. We don't care if your parents committed identity fraud by using falsified documentation. You are here illegally as well. So what gives you the right and privilege to claim to be and wanting to remain in Cape Town because you don't want to go back to Nigeria? No, the law should be changed. If you're a child and you're born through to undocumented parents, that's not our fault as a country. That is upon your parents deciding to have sex and conceiving you. This is the type of shit that foreigners are doing in South Africa. Not all of them, but those that are actually going to the courts and lying and trying to manipulate our courts to win favor for them in certain socio-economic matters that will legitimize them to be here in South Africa. I cannot understand what is the obsession with South Africa. If it's not Ghanaians, it's Nigerians. Why are you fighting to be here? Why are you not fighting to be in your own country? Why not taking that same level of enthusiasm and that energy and fight your governments to liberate your citizens from any form of enslavement? Whether it be psychologically, economically, financially, intellectually, spiritually, whatever form of enslavement you are experiencing as a citizen of that country, take that energy and fight to liberate your people there so that you hold your government accountable. But no, you're fighting to lay a claim in South Africa. I cannot understand it. And these are the foreigners that are running to the courts. The very same 2 coons that went to the ICC for our treatment of migrants. They now claiming that we are now violating human rights, and guess what? We are now also perpetuating crimes against humanity through the anti-immigration marches. And these 2 coons of Ghana decided to go to the ICC. They filed a petition against South Africa for their inhumane treatment of foreign nationals during their anti-immigration protests. We are now also in court fighting for our sovereign right to be South Africans. And you got these 2 coons doing this type of shit. Now, it takes me back to that same articulation that I mentioned. These are not your brothers. These are not your brothers. They will tell you they're your brother, but look what they are doing. This is your face. Thank goodness we have institutions. And therefore, that petition that was filed to the ICC by those two Ghanaians won't do anything. It won't develop into something concrete because it will just fall onto deaf ears. But good luck for them trying. I just want to paint this picture and this perspective and try people to understand that as South Africans, you need to pay attention to the bigger thing. Pay attention to the bigger scheme of things. What you see before you is just a tip of the iceberg. What you see that is happening is a tip of the iceberg. We need to take control of South Africa. We need to ensure that our needs and our rights and our privileges are taken care of first before anything else. And I stand with March in March. I stand with Operation Dudula. And I stand with legal reform. The policy on immigration, the Immigration Act needs an overhaul so that we can fight these things, not only on paper, but we can fight it through practical solutions on the ground. And this is why I admire organizations for taking this stance and taking this approach to fight this tooth and nail. Because at some point, we can't have the whole of Africa claiming or wanting to claim a piece of South Africa. You're going to wake up one day and your entire industry is going to be overpopulated by foreign nationals. You're not going to find someone that speaks isiXhosa, isiZulu, isiVenda, isiTswana, isiSotho. You're not going to. You're not going to find any of them. You're going to find someone that is going to speak to you in some form of Igbo language which you don't understand a damn, and you're going to wonder why. Because guess what? You open up the floodgates. So as a South African, to those people that want to claim a piece of us, that want to act like us, and then in return do us a disservice online, talk all this nonsense and bullshit about South Africa. Fight your governments. Fight your own people. Fight those corrupt leaders in your country. Fight those corrupt laws and legislation that gets passed in your country. Stop fighting to be a South African and trying to stay relevant and remain in South Africa. Go to your country. If not, why not? Or else, if you're not going to take accountability, then, like Donald Trump said, you're just going to remain a shit hole. Plantation, thank you for watching and thank you for listening.